mental health. At Kaiser Permanente, we know the body is connected in unseen ways. That's why our doctors work together to care for all that is you. Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you. Learn more at kp.org.
For Kia, the driveway is where performance resides. From the fans of the game to the Kia Telluride X Pro. So here's to tip-offs and engine starts, clutch players and 8-speed automatic transmissions, to long-range shooters and even longer-range rides. Here's to the legends of the driveway, the Kia Telluride X Pro. Kia is the official vehicle partner of the Golden State Warriors.
Kia, movement that inspires.
Chase is a proud partner of the Golden State Warriors, and Chase cardholders score more at Chase Center. Access in-arena and online discounts at the Warriors shop, Chase lounges before select concerts and Warriors games, in-app benefits, eatery discounts, advanced access to tickets, and preferred seating when you use your Chase card. See more cardholder perks at chase.com/Chase Center. Restrictions and limitations apply. Deposit and credit card products provided by JP Morgan Chase Bank, NA member FDIC.
The NBA is going OFF. Listen, I got all the facts to back it all up. 30 teams after one dream, 24 seconds to make magic with The Rock. 7-footers raining deep threes. 2 guards dunking and leaving you in shock. And first-year hoopers balling with ease. All that, all the time, all around the league. And the NBA isn't leaving anyone behind. The NBA season continues on ABC, ESPN, and TNT.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Did you know that romance can be eco-friendly? Simply give your sweetheart an experience rather than a gift. You can plan a night on the town that includes dinner at a local restaurant, ballroom dancing, or tickets to the theater. You could also plan a couple's massage or even a hot air balloon ride. You can create a great memory without creating any physical waste. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
You've been listening to the Golden State Warriors Audio Network, presented by United Airlines.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey Sports. For even more coverage of your team, download the free Odyssey app and listen to your favorite stations, shows, and podcasts.
That's a wrap.
Yo, that's a wrap. It was an amazing experience. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope we got some laughs, some good entertainment.
This is Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
22-23. Klay Thompson takes it, hits another three. That's his 12th. He's 2 away from tying his own record.
Yeah, the Warriors were looking for him down the stretch to potentially tie or break his own record for three-pointers made in a game, of course, 14. The Warriors look like they might have a shot at the NBA record for a team in a game as they finished 26 of 50 from three-point range. What a night from Klay Thompson. Warriors win it by the final score of 141-114 as we welcome you inside Warriors wrap-up here on 95.7 The Game. It's John Dickinson with you. We'll keep it rolling here deep into the 10 o'clock hour at 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570 as the Warriors get a win without Steph Curry and improve to 28-26. And what a night. I mean, really just one of those nights right off the top where it's special to just be in the arena to be able to witness what Klay Thompson did from a shooting standpoint and an efficiency standpoint. And it was just spectacular to see him come out and really early on in the game when you look at the way the Warriors played, just no defense in the first quarter of this one. Warriors trailed 37-31 and couldn't guard anybody, and it felt as if the Warriors could have been down by a lot more, and it would have been kind of an ugly start to this stretch where they're not going to have Stephen Curry, but Klay Thompson in that quarter kept the Warriors single-handedly from being down double digits or being almost blown out in the first quarter. 18 of Klay Thompson's 42 in the first quarter on 7 of 10 shooting and 4 of 5 from three-point range. And at the end of the frame, the Warriors found themselves only down by that 37-31 mark. And then in the second quarter, the Warriors flipped the switch a little bit defensively and clamped down. 29-16 Warriors in the second, really from the midway point of the second quarter on to the half. The Warriors defensively made some adjustments, started competing at a much higher level, and were able to go on a run to close out the half. Kevon Looney, a big part of that run. Looney not in the starting lineup on his 27th birthday. Steve Kerr making a little switch there. Of course, Jordan Poole went into the starting lineup with Steph Curry being out, and Jonathan Kuminga made his way into the starting lineup with Kevon Looney moving to the bench. But Looney, a part of the close group at the end of the first half that really helped the Warriors separate and go from 6 down to 7 ahead at the intermission. And then in the third quarter, it was more Klay Thompson and more Warrior offense in what was just a spectacular third quarter explosion as Klay hit a 3 to begin the third, put the Warriors up 10, and then the Warriors able to push it up to 19, and then some, 20, 25 at the end of 3, an 8-0 run after it looked like OKC was maybe going to hang around at 79-67. They were up 20 at that point, and then 104-79 at the end of the third quarter, and that made for a fun fourth quarter with Steve Kerr reluctant to have any kind of question about whether the Thunder were going to be able to make a run. He was leaving his starters in the game, and I think too many leads I think Steve Kerr had seen this year evaporate so quickly to a point and so many games slip away to where Kerr wasn't going to mess around with its starters in the game, and that gave the Warriors a chance to really try and chase the record a little bit within the context of the game for Klay Thompson, who ended up through the end of the third quarter having 9 of 13 from 3, and Klay knocked down 3 more in a fourth quarter stretch that thought it made you kind of wonder, can he, if he could get a couple more shots, could he tie his own record, of course, of 14 in a game? And then Dante DiVincenzo was knocking him down in the fourth quarter. Everybody was knocking him down for the Warriors, again, to that tune of 26 of 50. And the Warriors go on to put up 141. Klay Thompson, 42 points, 15 of 22 from the floor, 12 of 16 from three-point range in 33 minutes for Klay, and just an all-time outstanding performance for Klay Thompson in this one. Vintage Klay in the first quarter, vintage Klay in the first half, vintage Klay for his 33 minutes on the floor. And we talked about it on Warriors Live, the fact that Klay Thompson was going to have to set the tone along with Draymond Green for how this Warriors team was going to have to play in this time that they're going to be without Steph Curry to try and not only stay afloat, but with the schedule they have, try to push forward and move up in the Western Conference standings with as jumbled up as everything's been, and we've talked about it on and on. And so Klay set that tone. Draymond, I think, set the tone defensively in the middle of that second quarter. Enough is enough after the Thunder hit him for 37. Really, Oklahoma City was getting whatever they wanted in the first quarter, both at the rim, 18 points in the paint, and the Thunder also able to hit, I believe it was 4 threes, and then they get to the free throw line, and it was just a scenario for the Warriors that was ugly, and one that frankly we've seen all too much at times with the Warriors' struggles defensively. But Draymond, tone setter, he was everywhere in the second quarter, really was everywhere from that point on in the game. And it was just a special night for the Warriors as they kind of flipped the switch defensively. Klay Thompson in an unreal zone, really the type zone that only he and Steph Curry can get in among NBA players. It's just a there's the great zone, there's the zone that really good players and great players can get in, all-star players can get in. Those are almost two different levels on the staircase of just incredibly on fire zone. And then you've got the Steph and Clay zone, which I think is on top of all of the other ones. And Clay was in that mode tonight. It was the 60-point in 29-minute Clay. It was the 37-point quarter Clay from 2015 against Sacramento. It was Game 6 Clay against Oklahoma City in Oklahoma City in May of 2016. It was just a vintage A-plus Klay Thompson level performance in a game that the Warriors really needed it, obviously playing here now without Steph Curry. So 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570. Drama-free for the Warriors tonight, as it's been a long time since there's been one of these, especially on the Chase Center hardwood, where the Warriors end up building a lead to where things are comfortable in the fourth quarter, and they can have some fun. It was kind of a palate cleanser, I thought, for the Warriors in this game tonight, to where the fans are dancing in the aisles and having a good time and high-fiving each other, and really some joy back, I think, brought to this Warriors team that's been hit and miss, to say the least, with how up and down this season has been for Golden State. But tonight it was there and it was on full display. Jordan Poole heard the noise, I think, about all of the fans that were concerned about his performances. Jordan Poole, and we will hear from Steve Kerr and we will hear from Draymond Green, but I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to – both of them said in the post-game press conferences that they felt that this was the best game that Jordan Poole has ever played in his career. And Poole was getting everybody else involved. Steve Kerr talked about it before the game, the fact that Poole he's got to be the point guard. He goes into the Steph spot, and that means plenty of opportunities to look to shoot, plenty of opportunities to look to score and get his own, but he also has to run the team with the first unit. And if there was any question as to whether or not Jordan Poole would be up to the task for the Warriors without Steph, and I don't really think there should have been a question. If anything, the question surrounding Jordan Poole, and I don't necessarily want to take the show down this road on a night where he was spectacular, but if there's any question about Jordan Poole, it's when everybody's playing. It's when he is forced to be the sixth man, and or the Warriors have to go small to get him into the starting lineup, and the small lineups have just not been as effective as they've been in other iterations in other years for the Warriors. But when he starts, he's fine. When Jordan Poole starts, he's like a completely different player. And we talked about the 27 a game that he's averaged in the starting lineup, and the 28 a game he averaged over the 11-game span where Steph Curry was out in December and January. And Jordan Poole let everybody know again tonight that he can be a damn good player and put up big numbers, and he did it in a very different way than we're used to seeing Jordan Poole do it tonight, with the career-high 12 assists, 21 points, efficient, 5 of 10 from 3, 8 of 14 overall. He was picking his spots. He was getting the other players involved. He was hunting records for Klay Thompson down the stretch in the game as it was a blowout, picked up a couple of turnovers in that instance, but just an outstanding under-control point guard type of a game for Jordan Poole. And again, he's been extremely effective when the Warriors have needed him to be effective most, whether it's been in Klay Thompson's stead or tonight in Steph Curry's stead, as was the case in December and January. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's go ahead and pause for our ID here for the start of the 10 o'clock hour.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco. Always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody who is watching tonight on Twitch and YouTube, and of course everybody listening on the Odyssey app or on the radio here on 95.7 The Game. Fun night at Chase. Warriors win 141-114. And they improved to what, again, is the high water mark for them on this season at 2 games over 500. Fourth time, I believe, have to check my notes on that one, but that this Warriors team has been 2 games over 500. They have yet to be able to get to 3 games over 500 in any instance this season. So they'll have another opportunity to do that on Wednesday when they take on the Blazers. It's the Lakers after that, Washington here in Chase Center a week from tonight, and then a week from tomorrow, the Warriors take on the Clippers to close out the pre-All-Star break portion of the schedule. But a big win, a tone-setting win, and a win for the Warriors without a lot of drama that I think is a palate cleanser, a feel-good win, but also it's the template for what the Warriors have to do during this period where they're going to be without Steph Curry. It's Jordan Poole controlling the game without scoring. It's Klay Thompson just relaxed in the perfect Klay Thompson manner and demeanor, showing everybody that it's time for him to go even bigger than he's been of late, and he's been huge to help this Warriors team in January and on into February. And that has been well chronicled, the level that he's been able to play at. And Draymond defensively, and the effort and the energy and the fighting to rebound the basketball collectively. You look at the Warriors tonight, 45-36. They out-rebound Oklahoma City in this game. And it was a little bit of everybody pitching in. Draymond Green with 10 boards. Klay had 3. Poole had 4. DiVincenzo, 7. Looney, 11 rebounds. JaMychal Green and Ty Jerome each pitching in with rebounds. Hell, even James Wiseman tonight made the most of his mop-up duty minutes in the final 441 that Wiseman was able to get out there. Some nice footwork in the post. Hit a couple of short ones, 6 quick points, and looking comfortable out there, even grabbed a couple of rebounds. So one of the better feel-good nights for the Warriors, top to bottom, tonight here inside Chase Center to earn this victory over Oklahoma City, and an Oklahoma City team that the Warriors have dominated. We talked a lot on Warriors Live about the 7 consecutive games that the Warriors had won coming in head-to-head against the Thunder, going all the way back to the 2019 year, at the back end of that calendar year. And the Warriors in the 15 and 50 team was basically the last team that lost to the Thunder in any form. And a lot of these games have been blowouts. And so the Warriors do it again. I think it was 7 straight for the Warriors against OKC by an average of 21 points. And that average gets kicked up a notch when you win in this game tonight, and you lead by as many as 29. You win by what ultimately is a 141-114 final margin. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. It's John Dickinson here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Let's go ahead and hear a little bit from Steve Kerr as he met with the media downstairs in the post-game press conference on 95.7 The Game.
Steve, how refreshing is it to have one of these games where you can clear the bench at the end and kind of cruise a little bit?
Yeah, that was fun. That was probably the most fun I've had watching our team play all year. It's just so many great individual performances, and fun to see, some of the guys who don't play much get out there and do well. And it was definitely a feel-good night for our team.
What do you think of Poole? He seemed to be moving the ball really well tonight.
I thought Jordan was magnificent. One of the best games I've ever seen him play. He just was so under control. I think first half he controlled the half without really scoring much at all. Klay was dominating, obviously, with his shot, but Jordan was controlling the game, just running the show and taking care of the ball. And then, of course, he started scoring in the second half when that presented itself. But he was just he was brilliant all night.
Did you think the team kind of relaxed once they saw Klay being Klay? I mean, to give up 37 points in the first quarter didn't look great, but then Klay starts getting hot. Did you feel that was kind of like everybody just took the energy from Klay? For
sure, yeah. I mean, we feed off Klay all the time, but in particular on a night like tonight where we're down early and giving up a lot of points. And I thought OKC really came out and hit us in the mouth right away. 9-2 right out of the gate. You could tell they were playing with a lot of energy and pace, and Clay just kept us in it early with his shot making and allowed us to kind of find our groove.
Steve, what's it like when, you've seen it before, obviously, but when Clay starts making shots from wherever and no matter what the angle or whatever, what's it like watching that in action and they all seem to be going in?
It's just fun. It's, that's when the crowd really gets into it. You can just feel the game changing, as he starts making those shots. The crowd starts to anticipate every possession. The game starts to open up because they have to pay more and more attention to him. And when he gets in a zone like that, it's something special to watch.
Steve, there was a time where probably wouldn't have played starters in that fourth quarter, but it felt like you were, maybe trying to figure out when to clear the bench. Like, how tough was it deciding how long to ride guys and when to go in?
These days, a 20-point lead can go like that, just with all the 3-point shooting. So you just you don't mess around. And we're also looking at combinations too going forward. We're going to be without Steph, the next few games, and so we got to make sure we're ready for Portland and the games coming up after that. And we're looking at different combinations and different rotations. So got to keep playing.
Steve, I know you said that you guys are all optimistic and how you guys can do even without Steph, but what does a win like this, a dominant one like this, do for you guys, knowing that you'll be without Steph?
This is a confidence booster for sure, to play without him, but to see the performance of the team and the amazing individual performances we got. As I said, it was a feel good game for a lot of people, and that just really fuels everybody. So hopefully we can keep that going.
You had Kuminga in the starting lineup. Obviously, it started not so great, but they did settle it down. I think played very well in the start of the second half. What was the idea there, and might you stick with this?
The idea was just to get a little more spacing. Without Steph, it's tougher to play two bigs together with Draymond and Loon. Steph's the guy who takes care of spacing and sort of negates any spacing issues that you have offensively with his shot making. Clay too, of course. But we just thought without Steph, we'd start JK and then bring Loon off the bench just to give us a little more spacing and scoring punch offensively.
What are you seeing for JaMychal that's been so different and why he's been so effective now as opposed to the first month or so?
I didn't do a great job with him early in the season, putting him in positions to succeed. And I think now our rotation is much more settled. I think he feels much more comfortable with the group around him. And our bench play in general has just gotten much better since early in the year. So as that has happened, as guys like Dante and Ty Jerome and JK have solidified roles, J. Mike has really kind of settled in along with them.
You guys sent out a news release earlier today that said Ryan Rollins is getting shut down for the rest of the year. What are you hearing on that, and what are your thoughts on his rookie season overall?
Yeah, he's getting foot surgery. This was something that we knew he might have to do. It was a question of whether it was going to happen during the season or after. And we opted for right now to get him prepared for the summer, and he should recover well. And we're very high on Ryan. Got a lot of ability, and this was a great learning experience this year, his rookie season.
Yeah, so some tough news there from Steve Kerr at the back end of the post-game press conference, something that hadn't been asked about in the pregame, but it was news that broke earlier today, and that was the Warriors making the announcement that Ryan Rollins is going to be shut down for the year. Jones fracture in one of the toes on his foot. I want to make sure I get the official word right. But yeah, it was a Jones fracture at one of the metatarsals in the foot, and so yeah, he's going to be done for the season, and more info to follow in the next couple of days. Scheduled to have surgery on that coming up on Wednesday. But Steve Kerr, confidence booster. That's the part that I wanted to hone in on the most. And the Warriors able to play the way that they were able to play tonight and have so many different players contribute in so many different ways and have it be a confidence booster without Steph, knowing that they're going to have to continue to play without Steph. And this is 7-5 now for the Warriors in the last 12 games. And I know this season to this point, when you look at where the Warriors are in the standings at just 2 games over 500 and the inability to be any better at any point than the 2 games over 500 where they currently stand, you look at the way that this Warriors team has been able to hold it together without Steph. If they do get on a run here in these final now 28 games to where they do wind up with a 4 seed or a 5 seed or a 3 seed or whatever it ends up being. And there's a long way to go. And I don't want to, we've seen this too many times this year where it looks like the Warriors are about to get on a run, and especially without Steph, I'm not going to play that game. But if the Warriors do end up getting on that run here between now and April 9th in these last 2 months before the season ends, the way that the Warriors played without Steph Curry becomes, I think, a pretty big headline as to this Warriors season. And the fact that 7-5 without Steph Curry for a team that really hasn't been all that deep, top to bottom when they've had everybody going, I think that's pretty impressive. And if this team can keep that level, if it ends up being a 11-8 or 12-9 kind of a thing in 20, 21 games without Steph, and the Warriors are able to be held up and go on a run here down the stretch, that's season-saving kind of stuff. And Jordan Poole, for as maligned as he's been at times, gets a lot of credit for it. Saw a note about Klay Thompson and the numbers that Klay has put up when the Warriors have been without Steph Curry. And Klay Thompson has been tremendous, 27.2 points per game without Steph. So he has been someone who has risen to the occasion. 27, 4 boards, 5 3-point makes. So he's up about a 3-point make and a half over the time when Steph is on the floor. Obviously, him and Steph are going to be sharing some of the shots, although Klay never bashful, never shy to get his shots up. But, yeah, with Steph, Klay this year, 19.4 points per game. Without Steph, he kicks it up 8. And we've already gone through Jordan Poole and the increase in his production with Steph out. So there are points to be had and plays to be made, and Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson have really been the headliners, as you would expect from the starting backcourt when Steph is out, that have made up some of that ground and allowed this team to win games without Steph Curry, which is something that has just not been able to be done over even some of the years where they had KD and Klay and Draymond. It's tough. But, yeah, that's something that will go down as pretty huge if the Warriors can continue to be successful, even at the level that they have been to this point, for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long it winds up being for Steph Curry being out of the lineup. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's get to Chris in San Leandro here on Warriors Wrap-Up. What's going on tonight, Chris?
What's up, JD? What a great all-around performance from the squad today. So without Steph, we're going into Wednesday versus the Blazers. Barring our performance, whether it be good or bad, what does your gut tell you the Warriors do before the trade deadline? Thanks, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think the Warriors would like to add at the deadline. I don't know what the Warriors really want to part with at this point, because I still think they probably view Kuminga as a keeper at this point. And that's always how I look at trades is well, what do you want to go get? What type of player do you want to go get? And I think the Warriors would be on the market for a 3-and-D wing, right? Get in line with the other 18 teams that think they're going to be playoff teams, or 20 teams that are trying to be playoff teams in the NBA this year, right? A 3-and-D wing. I think they'd love to have a 3-and-D wing that can guard multiple positions. And even if the 3 wasn't necessarily there, if the D was there, I think the Warriors probably feel like they've got enough shooting and offense among the core players that they have. But if they could get one more player that could be somebody that could really help them improve their defensive prowess, especially down the stretch in games or just in key different moments. So I think a 3-and-D wing would be the type of player that the Warriors would want to go get. So that's the first question. The second question you always have to ask as it relates to trades is, well, what are you willing to give up? And that's where I think it gets a little bit murky. Steph and Clay and Draymond and Wiggins are not going anywhere. Kevon Looney's still not going anywhere, invaluable as a big on a team that's really void of quality bigs that they trust to play on a night in, night out basis. And he's a part of that lineup that's among the top groups in the NBA. The Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, Looney, 5, that is the most trusted playoff lineup for Steve Kerr. So Kevon Looney's not going anywhere in that line of thinking. Jordan Poole gets traded as a $4 million player and not a $30 million player because his big money doesn't kick in until the beginning of next season. So that makes him incredibly difficult to trade for. So you're trading away a $4 million player, roughly, but then the team that gets him has to take him on and be able to fit his $30 million into next year's plan as well. So it's a misfit right now for Jordan Poole. They need the calendar to flip to the next season to be able to trade him. So I don't think he's going anywhere. You wouldn't want Dante DiVincenzo to go anywhere. I think Kuminga's a keeper at this point. Clearly, he's been much improved. He started the season playing extremely poorly, played his way out of the rotation, wasn't deserving of any of the minutes that Steve Kerr was not giving him at the beginning of the season. Pretty clear cut and obvious if you've been paying attention. But that's completely flipped over the course of the last 6 to 8 weeks before and after his injury. And so Kuminga's a keeper now. So the top 8, and if JaMychal Green's going to play the way he's played for the most part, give or take a game here, a game there, the last few weeks since he's been back from injury, he's probably around too. So who are you comfortable giving up is the long-winded answer here to set this thing up. And I just don't think the Warriors would be comfortable giving up James Wiseman for a 9th, 10th man 3-and-D wing off the bench. Like it's just tough to choke down doing that. I think if you're the Warriors, given the fact that Wiseman and I think Moody's value has plummeted this year based on the fact that those two have been for the most part unplayable when they've been healthy in Wiseman's case. And so, you don't want to sell low, even if there is a financial component to Wiseman's deal moving forward that may put you in a position where you have to make an uncomfortable decision with the luxury tax and all of that. So I get where you'd be on. So at that point, it's what are you trading if you're the Warriors, which I think makes it difficult. And I think as you evaluate this team, and Bob Myers and Joe Lacob and everybody in the front office are going to have to evaluate this team in the cost benefit of the player you'd get back, and would you be willing to potentially move a young player plus a pick? And again, I'm considering Kuminga off limits at this point. So is it Wiseman or Moody plus maybe something to get somebody who's a role player? I know some Warrior fans may do that deal. I may even consider it if it's for somebody that could be around moving forward, if it wasn't a rental type player. But at the same time, I can understand how that's tough to palate if you're the Warriors, and something that you would not want to do because you just don't want to trade someone that you believe has a high level of value at a point in which that value has plummeted. So leads me down the path of I don't think the Warriors will do something big at the deadline on Thursday, but I do think they could be on the market to do something smaller, but everybody's on the market to do something smaller. So when the reports of Philadelphia's Matisse Thybulle being available come up, somebody that's not a great offensive player, but can be a lockdown defender, kind of like Gary Payton II was last year on that end of the ball, you'd want to go grab him. But I think every potential playoff team in the Western Conference would want to come grab him and give him some minutes in their rotation. So easier said than done, long-winded explanation, but a tricky trade deadline, I feel like, for the Warriors as they approach it. And I think it's also a catch-22 when it comes to, the better this Warriors team plays, the more you want to help the team get over the hump. But at the same time, the better they play, the more confident you are in the fact that maybe you have enough. And I think the worse they play, or if injuries start to come in, you're less apt to chase if you aren't good enough to chase trying to fix something, therefore trading a player when you'd be selling low on that player, in particular a younger type player, somebody that still you believe has upside, like a James Wiseman or a Moses Moody. So 888-957-9570. All right, we'll pause here. We'll come back. We'll hear from Jordan Poole. We'll hear from Draymond Green. A couple of phone lines open. We'll get to the Xfinity mobile text line as well. Feel-good night for the Warriors at Chase as they beat the Thunder 141-114, and you heard it right here on 95.7 The Game.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Thank you to all of the business owners who kept people employed during the pandemic. For all you've done, you may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury Department, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. The window is closing to claim your refund. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify. Paychex is proud to have helped more than 45,000 businesses secure over $9.2 billion in ERTC claims, an average of $190,000 per business. 50 years and thousands of experts in HR, payroll, benefits, and insurance. You may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury Department, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. The window is closing to claim your refund. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify. Visit paychex.com/ERTC to find out how Paychex can help you get additional cash into your business. Paychex.com/ERTC. Paychex.com/ERTC.
All year long, Odyssey celebrates the 50th anniversary of hip-hop by covering the milestones, saluting the history, and honoring the impact of the beats that created a global phenomenon. With Hip-Hop Made. Download the free Odyssey app right now or go to odyssey.com/hiphopmade to listen to the music and the podcast that celebrate 50 years of hip-hop. And join us all year long as we celebrate the milestone on the Odyssey app. Hip-Hop Made.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things, for our planet. Raise a fine glass of wine to your sweetheart and the environment. First, don't get hung up on packaging. Many great wines now come in boxes, which produce half the overall emissions that bottles do. Also, cardboard is just as easily recycled as glass. Finally, look for estate wines, where all grapes are grown on the vineyard and not trucked in from distant locations. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Toyota's President's Day sales event is on now. And when you're staring down a 3-day weekend in California, look no further than Toyota. Right now, shop a great selection of Toyota certified used vehicles at your local Toyota dealer. Because the best new cars make the best used cars. From snowy slopes to sandy coasts and everything in between. This President's Day, Toyota lets you do it all. Toyota, let's go places. See your local Toyota dealer for certified warranty and program details.
Don't miss taking them to school.
Quick move, good decisive drive over Walker. Took him to school.
Every weekday morning after a Warriors game.
Shoots on the way, it's up and in.
Taking them to school. Brought to you by Evergreen Valley College. Get free tuition at Evergreen Valley College when you enroll in 6 units. Enroll in 15 units for $1,500 towards textbooks. Apply today at evc.edu.
Hey guys, this is Keenan Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes, you. None of y'all told me that AutoTrader has millions of new and used cars that I can shop from home. I thought we were friends. I put smiles on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with AutoTrader, a dealer can deliver cars to my home or that I could shop by price on AutoTrader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned we had officially over. Finally, it's easy. AutoTrader.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Poole penetrates to Thompson. Thompson left side. 3-ball! Number 11 for Clay. Timeout for OKC. It's 120-95. Tom Tolbert has called it.
Now back to Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
Back here inside Chase Center, John Dickinson with you. That was number 11 of 12 as Steve Kerr would keep Klay Thompson in the game with the Warriors. Still up 25 at that point, 120-95 was the score at that point, and the Warriors able to push the lead out. Steve Kerr kept Klay in the game. He's able to knock down another one, and as Klay Thompson ends up with 12 of 16 from 3, 42 points, 33 minutes. And it felt for a moment there in the fourth quarter like the Warriors were almost feeding it to him to see, can he get to 14? Can the Warriors get to 29, which would be the NBA record? But no, to no avail, comes up short. I know Klay in his post-game interview with the folks, Kerr and the folks at NBC Sports Bay Area said, he didn't like to chase records. The basketball gods frown upon those who chase records. And so, Steve Kerr's been reluctant to do that in the past. It felt a little bit like more of it was about Steve Kerr wanting to make sure that he didn't blow another lead for this team that's blown a lot of leads. And that was the big question in the fourth quarter, other than how many was Klay going to end up with. It was, at what point does Steve Kerr pull the plug or feel comfortable enough putting the young players in the game and going mop-up duty, going developmental mode down the stretch, and feel like there isn't going to be a 12-2 run right off the top to where he's got to rip some young players out of the game and go back to the veterans. You don't want to ever have that happen. And so it wound up basically being about 4:41 to go when Wiseman and Moody and others, I think Kuminga, who started tonight, even finished the game. But Wiseman looked good in his little under 5 minutes of mop-up duty around the basket, 3 of 3, 6 points, and grabbed a couple of boards. But the story of the night is Klay Thompson in the zone, a vintage Klay performance, and the Warriors win over the Thunder 141-114. It is Warriors wrap-up here at 95.7 The Game, 888-957-9570. We'll keep it rolling here for about another 20 minutes or so. We will hear from Klay Thompson between now and 11 o'clock. But big night for Jordan Poole. You've got Steve Kerr and Draymond Green both saying they thought it was the best game that Jordan Poole had ever played. Let's hear from JP3 as he met with the media inside Chase Center here earlier following the victory. Yeah, it was beautiful to watch, and Jordan Poole, a big part of finding Clay, one of his best assists of the night. The drive to the basket, had a couple of defenders drawn to him. You're thinking, is Oklahoma City going to fall off of Clay in the corner? And they did, and he was looking for Clay the whole time to hit him in the corner, and it was just a brilliant play to watch develop, and it just, there was a command to the game tonight for Jordan Poole. He looked like a quarterback out there that was controlling things, that was very much in command of the offense and the team and reading the defense, but also reading his own teammates as to who was hot and in what positions and what he had to do to set up those teammates to put him in the best position. It was a point guard type of a game for Jordan Poole as he stepped in for Steph in a big way. It wasn't try to go get 35, and he didn't. He only had 21, but so impactful in setting others up and setting Klay Thompson up. Career high 12 assists for Jordan Poole in this one to go with the 21 points, and he was a plus 28 overall in the ball game tonight. A game high plus 28 for Jordan Poole. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. John Dickinson here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Quick note on the Warriors as a team, and I saw this, Shane Young at Young NBA on Twitter had the number for the Warriors as far as games where they have 35 or more assists in the Steve Kerr era. This was the 100th game that the Warriors in the Kerr era have had 35 or more assists. They're 95-5 in those games. Pretty incredible. Thought that was an interesting note. And then Kendra Andrews via ESPN Stats and Info pointed out the 12 threes for Klay Thompson, tied for the fourth most in a game in NBA history. Obviously, Klay has the record with 14 back in Chicago in October of 2018 and the 18-19 season. The 14 on that night. The 12, though, the fourth most in any game. He and Curry Steph Curry, the only two players with multiple games of 12 threes. They each have multiple games, 2 games of 12 or more threes, and obviously Klay Thompson with the record in that one. I thought Andrew Wiggins has, as he often does on nights where he plays well and the Warriors win, I thought this was Andrew Wiggins' best game. 2 ways. Two-way Wiggs was back for a night here inside Chase Center. Best game he's had, and under the radar in the way that Andrew Wiggins typically can be. But since the adductor and the illnesses and being in and out of the lineup, and he starts to find his defense, but the offense isn't there. There were nights where he kind of floated on defense and the offense wasn't there. Tonight was a night where he didn't make the 3-ball, but he was 7 of 10 on 2s. He put in 18 points. His defense on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in lengthy stretches of the game was really good after Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was getting rolling early in the first quarter. He was 10 in the first quarter for SGA, and he wound up with 10 for the rest of the game. And I think Andrew Wiggins was a big part of that defensively. And so had a block, had a steal. He was moving the rock as everybody was offensively. But I thought we got a little taste of two-way Wiggs being back and closer to joining the party again. And that's a very good sign, because we talked about it on Warriors Live, the fact that who has to step up in the absence of Steph Curry? Well, everybody does, but really it starts with Klay and Draymond and Jordan Poole, who moves into that point guard spot, and Wiggins, who has been having a great year up until the point in which he had the adductor in December, and things have really been just down for Wiggins these last couple of months. So a healthy Wiggins back and in the fold and doing a lot of the things that he did for this team last season is especially important during this period where they're going to play without Steph. All right, let's go ahead and hear a little bit from Draymond Green now as he met with the media. Bill King interview room here inside Chase Center. Warriors 141, Thunder 114. Always great to hear Draymond's perspective on everything after a Warrior win. All right, so Draymond Green there. A lot of thoughts on Klay Thompson's night, some high praise on Jordan Poole's night. And I think the key that Draymond brought up as far as Klay goes is something that goes back to that team meeting from the middle of November after that Phoenix game, where Klay really did make a conscious effort to be more patient and try to get in the flow of the game and keep the ball moving a little bit, not always just take the first shot that came to him. I think there's been times where he's, as he's played better and shot a higher percentage, he's had a few more heat checks mixed in there. So that was part of the big takeaway from Draymond on Klay. But the bigger part for me was the part about how Klay's looked physically, because Klay has looked like he's been a little bouncier. He's getting a little more lift. His shot is, his release is a little straighter. And I think maybe that comes with just physically him being in a better place and pushing through whatever barrier from, not playing in the offseason to just working on getting his conditioning back after the long haul and the grind of the playoffs and all of the rehab and everything that he had to go through. So I think that's been an under-discussed component of Klay's reemergence here at a level that we're used to seeing Klay play at more consistently is the physical component of it. And, yeah, when you talk about tonight being a template for how the Warriors have to get the job done without Curry, it is Draymond being that vocal leader and being that defensive captain and elevating in ways that he can elevate this team, because there are no gimmies with the Warriors right now playing without Steph Curry. All right, let's before we call it a night, go back downstairs. Want to give everybody a chance to hear from Klay Thompson on one of the great nights in his NBA career. 42 points on 12 of 16 from three. 15 to 22 overall. So let's hear from Captain Klay after this Warriors win. Yeah, that's what's up next for the Warriors in Portland on Wednesday night, and the Warriors will try and get a little momentum and get to 3 games over 500 for the first time this season. But, yeah, always fun to get a post-game Clay press conference when everybody's in a good mood and things are flowing. And yeah, Clay just such a thoughtful player about his own game and can be unabashed on the floor. And at times, this season, I think hunting it probably a little bit too hard, but he's really gotten himself into sync over these last 2 months, really, month and a half to 2 months, and the Warriors have benefited, and even just the blunt honesty of, yeah, I'm not an all-star this year, but I will get back to being an all-star at some point. You got to love Captain Clay. All right, that'll do it for me as the Warriors get the win tonight, 141-114. Next up for the Warriors is Portland, in Portland on Wednesday. Warriors Live, 6 o'clock for that one, as I'll have it for you right here on 95.7 The Game, then taking your phone calls and reacting to that one after with Warriors wrap-up. So late night, West Coast, Wednesday night, look for it as the Warriors try to get to 3 over 500. Thanks to Sterling Bennett. Thanks to everybody in our San Francisco studios. Great job by one and all, and a great night here at Chase for the Warriors as they get the job done over the Thunder. They win it 141-114, and you heard it right here on 95.7 The Game.
Tune in to 95.7 The Game for Warriors Live, 60 minutes before tip-off of every Warriors game. Brought to you by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet, only from Xfinity.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. CalHope can help. Access